Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. He delivered his remarks at the SCO Leaders Summit. PM Modi said that India has played a very positive role as member of the SCO, and India's vision and policy for the SCO was based on three important pillars: security, connectivity, and opportunity.
एससीओ को लेकर भारत की सोच और नीति तीन मुख्य स्तंभों पर आधारित है। एससीओ, एस सिक्योरिटी, सी कनेक्टिविटी, ओ अपॉर्चुनिटी।
PM Modi also cornered Pakistan without naming it. Prime Minister said that India was bearing the brunt of the terrorism for the last 4 decades and that double standards over terrorism were unacceptable.
हाल ही में हमने पहलगाम में टेररिज्म का बहुत ही घिनौना रूप देखा। इस दुख की घड़ी में जो मित्र देश हमारे साथ खड़े रहे, मैं उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। यह हमला केवल भारत की अंतरात्मा पर ही आघात नहीं था, यह मानवता में विश्वास रखने वाले हर देश, हर व्यक्ति को खुली चुनौती थी। ऐसे में प्रश्न उठना स्वाभाविक है, क्या कुछ देशों द्वारा आतंकवाद का खुलेआम समर्थन हमें स्वीकार्य हो सकता है? एक्सेलेंसी, हमें स्पष्ट रूप से और एक स्वर में कहना होगा कि आतंकवाद पर कोई भी डबल स्टैंडर्ड स्वीकार्य नहीं होंगे।
President Xi Jinping, in his opening remarks, said that SCO had grown into the world's largest regional organization. He added that with the participation of 26 countries, cooperation covering over 50 areas, and combined with an economic output of nearly $30 trillion, its international influence and appeal was increasing day by day. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who is currently in Tianjin, is said to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ahead of the meet, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei termed both Iran and China as ancient civilizations, serving as the eastern and western wings of Asia. Iran became member of the SCO in 2023. It also joined BRICS, a grouping of major emerging market economies. By joining the two organizations, Iran is pursuing cordial ties with Russia and China. The Russian President Putin is expected to hold talks with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian about the Ukraine conflict as well as Tehran's nuclear program. Now, many of the assembled dignitaries will be in Beijing on Wednesday to witness the military parade, which also will be attended by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. All right, to discuss more, we're now being joined live by Laura Westbrook. She's a correspondent from Hong Kong. Laura, good to see you. Of course, a big event happening at SCO, and I'm not sure if so many eyes were on such an organization summit as it would have been before. But of course, there is background to a diplomatic background to this happening in the world. Trump's tariffs, a lot of things are happening. What have you gathered from this summit and the reactions that you have been gathering as well?
Yes, well, we've just been hearing from Chinese President Xi Jinping making those opening remarks at this summit to some of those 20 leaders, saying that the world situation is chaotic and fluid. He called on leaders, including Russia's President Vladimir Putin and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to adhere to fairness and justice. He said to oppose Cold War mentality and bullying behavior. This is what many are seeing as an apparent aim at the United States, with many countries facing tariffs from the United States, not least India, with Trump slamming Indian exports with 50% tariffs to the U.S. President Xi also called on members to come together to seek common ground. He also wants to promote multilateralism and trade, calling on members to boost their cooperation when it comes to trade as well. And this Beijing and Moscow founded regional security club is aimed at reshaping the global balance of power. Earlier, we saw leaders gathering on the red carpet, and we saw President Xi, President Putin, and Prime Minister Modi chatting together on live footage, surrounded by the official translators. And China and Russia have sometimes touted the SCO as an alternative to the NATO military alliance, and analysts say that China is seeking to emphasize that it presents credibility, stability, and policy predictability, as Xi wants to use this summit as an opportunity to present a Chinese-led order to a world dominated by the United States.
Absolutely. And talking of the United States, of course, their eyes are there as well. We've seen some comments come from Navarro and India as well. How do you think the West will be looking at this? And how do you think has the polarity somehow changed over the course of just 1 year?
Yes, well, while the U.S. is not at this summit, its presence is definitely being felt. With those comments by President Xi Jinping. One of the other meetings that the US is sure to be watching closely is that meeting that happened on the sidelines of this summit between President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi. It's Modi's first trip to China in more than 7 years, and President Xi told Modi that they should be partners and not rivals. He said it was the right choice for both these sides to be friends, to help each other to succeed. He likened it as a dance between the dragon and the elephant in a reference to both countries. And he said that if they see each other as opportunities for development rather than threats, then India-China relations will grow steadily. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi told Xi that India was committed to taking forward their ties on the basis of mutual respect, dignity, and sensitivity. And these two countries have been working on diffusing some of their tensions after those deadly border clashes in 2020. And that meeting also comes days after President Trump slammed India with 50% tariffs on Indian exports to the US, insisting it was a penalty for buying Russian oil. And so many analysts are seeing that the pressure from those Trump tariffs is accelerating this push for India and China to grow closer together. Some analysts say that Beijing is looking to capitalize on the tensions between the US and India to reduce their burgeoning security ties. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi is looking to bolster India's economy in the face of those Trump tariffs as well, looking potentially for new markets.
Absolutely. And just as we say this, we just have some key comments, statements coming from Russian President Putin. He's also talked about the Ukraine on that. He said, and I'm just going to quote it here, on the Ukraine crisis, Russia adheres to the principle of no country can ensure its security at the expense of another. He mentions NATO. He says Western attempts to draw Ukraine into NATO are a contributing factor to the Ukrainian crisis. And Russia highly values the efforts of China, India, and other partners in resolving the situation in Ukraine. Somehow we know that NATO has been working on this. West has been working on this. U.S. laid the red carpet for Putin to welcome Putin and, of course, talk about these peace situation. Somehow there has been no result. Do you think such summit, such as SCO, is becoming another organization, another summit where such issues can be resolved and some kind of solution can come out?
Yes, President Putin obviously there and facing pressure as well from the U.S. Putin faces threats of sanctions for his ongoing war in Ukraine. He is expected to hold talks on the sidelines of the summit as well, with not least with Turkish President Erdogan. President Xi met Erdogan on Sunday to discuss the situations in Gaza and Ukraine. And it is also Russian President Vladimir Putin's first visit to China since he held talks on the Ukraine war with US President Donald Trump in Alaska earlier this month. And some people are saying that Trump's rather chaotic diplomacy, he's been trying to resolve this conflict, but whether that has an impact on the relationship between China and Russia, they've said that they have this no limits partnership, and many analysts say that the glue that binds these neighbors together is their shared perception of the US as a threat. And the SCO is also the first opportunity for these two leaders to meet in person since Putin's summit with Trump. And according to reports, Xi and Putin did discuss the latest contacts between the US and Russia. Now, this has been billed by China as the largest gathering since this summit was founded. But there are still tensions within this group, not least between India and Pakistan. Some of these member states have conflicting interests. And so what many people will be watching to see is whether they do agree and come and reach a consensus on a joint statement. And they will also be watching to see, what comes out of this summit. Many analysts have said they don't really expect there to be any big policy announcements, but rather that this is more about the optics of these leaders standing side by side.
Absolutely. I like that you mentioned optics because, yes, of course, mostly we know that SCO somehow it talks about terrorism, extremism, and somehow now because of the tariffs, economy has also become another topic when it comes to such summits. Lastly, I just want you to briefly just tell us about what's your opinion on how such summit would somehow talk of multipolarity, which is going to happen at a global level somehow?
Well, yes, President Xi is looking to promote this summit as multilateralism. He's trying to promote China's vision, which is to create a Chinese-led organization to counter some of these Western-led ones, such as NATO. This is something that he is very keen on, and that he is looking to promote. But there are, and as I mentioned, there have been tensions that remain within this group. There are also different member states having different priorities, and also this group has grown since it started in 2001, and so with the adding of different members, that also complicates how these members, whether they can agree on everything, which is why many analysts will be watching to see if a consensus is reached on a joint statement.
Absolutely. And of course, we're going to have to still see. We have some important meetings lined up. We know that Russian president will be meeting with Indian prime minister. We'll get to see what talks come out. But there, Iranian president Masoud Pezeshkian is also said to have some bilateral talks with Russian president as well. It's interesting to see how, as you mentioned very clearly, that there are rivals in this whole summit as well. Like we have these 20 countries, but we also have some rivalry going on there as well. But still, somehow it seems like this SCO has become somewhat of an alternative to the West. What's your opinion on that?
Well, that is definitely what President Xi is looking to promote, and this organization has been touted as an alternative to the Western-led NATO alliance. But as I mentioned, adding more members, and with some of these members like Russia embroiled in its ongoing war with Ukraine, There have also been the conflicts between the war in Ukraine. There have also been other members that have had their own differences with Iran, for example, and Israel, and so there. When analysts are looking at this summit, they will be looking to see what they're also looking for is this is also an opportunity for these leaders to meet on the sidelines. As we saw yesterday, there was that meeting between Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Modi will also have other bilateral meetings as well as Xi Jinping and President Putin. So this is also an opportunity for these leaders to come together and meet and have these meetings on the sidelines of this summit. And that is also something what many people are also watching to see what comes out of those meetings as well.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, it's not just SCO, it's like these little meetings, but big meetings happening on the sidelines of the summit. Laura, thank you so much for joining us and giving all the background and all the information. Thanks so much.